middle of September of 1787. So, June, July, August, it's like 3 months and 3 weeks. They got it done. No. What's that?
Can you say the date one more time?
Well, technically it's September 17th, if we're going to be precise about it. Just middle of September 1787. Not everyone liked what the framers came up with for various reasons. And as a result of that, of the original 55 delegates to the Constitutional Convention, only 39 of them actually signed the document. The rest walked out at various points. Some walked out over the course of the summer. Some of them stayed through to the bitter end, but just couldn't bring themselves to put, pen to paper. And I mean, they had different reservations about it. I will say there was one delegate that I can think of, Luther Martin, not Martin Luther, but Luther Martin from Maryland. He did not believe that the Constitution was sufficiently anti-slavery, and he walked out and signed. But he's the one guy whose anti-slavery principles kind of shines through when you're looking at the whole episode. So you got 39 delegates of the original 55 who signed the thing. And even those 39 who do, I mean, they don't know if their proposed constitution would work or not. A lot of them thought that, hey, if we can get this constitution to last a generation, we'll be in good shape. And then we'll have another revolution, and then that generation can come up with its own constitution, and so on and so forth. For them to realize that, the foundation that they laid in 1787 is like still there, they would be stunned, I think, if they were exhumed and, zombie Ben Franklin comes back to, check it all out and say, oh, wow, that's pretty remarkable. I did good. But again, they don't have the luxury of certainty in 1787. And to illustrate the point, I'll share a story from Franklin. Now, this is the back of the chair that George Washington sat in as the president of the Constitutional Convention. It's a very high-backed chair. So like when Washington was sitting in it, his head would be about where mine is. Now you can see there is this half sun carved into the back of the chair. And that would be over Washington's head as he sat in it. And Benjamin Franklin commented, he wrote this down. He said, I have often looked at that sun behind the president, he said, without being able to tell whether it was rising or setting. And I think that's a really smart way to capture the uncertainty of the moment. Is this sun going down below the western horizon? Is this the sun at the dying of the day and the bringing of the darkness? Or is this a sun that is peeking over the eastern horizon, shining its bright rays on a new day for a new country? I mean, there are new hopes here, but there are new fears as well. And Benjamin Franklin, I mean, he comes to the conclusion, he says, I think it's rising. Can't be sure, but I think it's rising. But it doesn't matter what's in the Constitution until it's ratified. It has to be approved by 9 of the 13 states in order to become the new law of the land. The framers of the Constitution, they knew from the days of the Articles of Confederation Let's not have unanimous approval required for this to go into effect. We're going to say 9 of the 13 makes it the new law of the land. So we've got to get this thing ratified. And those who want to ratify or to approve the Constitution as the new law of the land are called Federalists. And some of the biggest names in early American history are in this Federalist camp. James Madison, the father of the Constitution. Alexander Hamilton of the musical. George Washington, the president of the convention. Benjamin Franklin, the most senior of the delegates. These guys all favored the ratification, the approval of the Constitution. They all realized the need for a stronger central government. They're not saying that it's perfect. They're not going that far, but they are agreeing, hey, it's better than we got now. And they're willing to, give it a go. On the other side of the coin, you have the anti-federalists. This is kind of more of a second-tier group of early American patriots. Patrick Henry from Virginia. James Monroe. James Monroe will eventually be a U.S. president, but he didn't like the Constitution in 1787, did not want to see it approved. George Mason, also of Virginia, has a university named for him now. Samuel Adams of the old Sons of Liberty also opposed this new Constitution. They had different reasons for opposing. Some said that the Constitution resulted from an illegitimate convention. It was called to, merely amend the Articles of Confederation. Here, they threw it out and started over. That was not their charge. Some said that, this new government, it's going to be run by a powerful elite that's going to overwhelm rural folk, and we've got to be really careful of that. It's taking too much power from the states. And really, this is the one argument that probably does bring the Anti-Federalists together. They believe that the proposed government created too powerful of a central government. That the proposed government that they created under the Constitution was just too powerful. You know the end of this. You know that the Federalists win, that the Constitution is ratified. The Federalists are the winners, right? But I would caution you also against thinking of the Anti-Federalists as losers, because they are pretty influential in what ultimately results. The Anti-Federalists, and you can kind of see where a lot of the Anti-Federalist support is here. The majority against ratification is in the green. That's the Anti-Federalists. There's a lot of green in New York and Virginia, the two most powerful, most populous states. The Anti-Federalists in Virginia and New York, they were not going to ratify the Constitution because they felt that this new central government took too many rights away from the people. They were afraid of a central government that was too powerful. They had told Madison, during the Constitutional Convention, hey, we want some guarantee of the rights that people are preserved under this powerful government we created. And Madison agreed with them in principle, but Madison didn't want to write down what those rights were, because his fear was that if he tried to list all the rights that people had and he forgot one or more, people would assume that that right didn't exist. So he was afraid of writing it down. But again, New York and Virginia, they're not going to ratify this thing without some guarantee of the people's rights included in it in the face of this increasingly powerful government. So the Anti-Federalists and the Federalists make a deal. The Federalists say to the Anti-Federalists, okay, you ratify, and as soon as Congress meets, we will add the Bill of Rights to the Constitution. The Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments to the Constitution, that give us all those First Amendment protections, free speech, free press, freedom of religion, and all that kind of thing. Texas's favorite amendment, of course, the second one, the right to bear arms. The Fifth Amendment, the right not to incriminate oneself through your own testimony, and so on and so forth. All those first 10 amendments, the Bill of Rights, are agreed to at the insistence of the Anti-Federalists. So that's kind of a win for them, too. So once assured that the Bill of Rights would be added to the Constitution, Virginia, New York, and a couple other more hesitant states went ahead and approved it. It did get unanimous approval ultimately. And under the provisions of the Constitution, George Washington was elected the first president of the United States. The poor guy was not able to stay at Mount Vernon and manage his farm. So now, in the time we have left, to get back to my other argument, I think we kind of pounded home the interest idea, right? You got that one? But now, I had suggested to you that we could consider the Constitution a conservative and indeed counter-revolutionary document not in keeping with the principles of the revolution. Let me explain. I will use a chart. And I'm going to put on here 1760. I'm going to put on here 1776, 1781, and 1787. So let our x-axis